Let's start off with the fact that you were born and raised here in Kansas City, which has such a supportive and substantial art network, incredible museums. You grew up in an upper-class family, but refused to follow your parents' desires to have you marry well, become basically a socialite and a housewife. So what was your background like? Were you exposed to art? Can you sort of talk us through that?
Yeah, surely was. Hi. Yeah, I was really exposed to a lot of art. My mother was an incredible colorist, and we had a Diego Rivera in the kitchen, and we had a Wayne Thiebaud in the kitchen, a Lawson in the dining room. My uncle Richard Hollander was a sculptor, and you can see him somewhere on the back 40 of this campus. So that meant a lot to me. And in 1930, I believe, my grandmother started the first gallery in Kansas City, and it was down in that Mexican part of town, and which was horrifying for for the family. They didn't even want the chauffeur driving down there. So she bought a house of prostitution called the Bloody Bucket.
Excellent.
And she moved out all the girls, and then she moved in a bunch of artists and also had show space down there. She gave Thomas Hart Benton his first show down there. And they had a lot of printmaking equipment and stuff. It was like a real residency that maybe went somewhere, and now they're back. I don't know. They're big now. So a lot of that, and what else? Yeah.
And you said to me before that your mother was very interested in color, and your grandmother was an artist as well. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. Growing up, I was a little dyslexic and didn't read very well, but I like moving around. I like moving around a lot. And I like color, and I like art, and I think I can see things visually. And my mother was very visual and thinking about that all the time. I can remember her going to Luce Park and picking a certain rose and calling the painter, and it's going to be this color. And we had the painters living upstairs for about a year. So it was interesting. She was very... My family was Wolf Brothers, and they were very involved in the store, and one of the great things that they did was to integrate the Jewish community into Kansas City. Although they weren't really, they were a little bit removed as parents. Oh no, they were a lot removed.
So your family was involved in fashion, in art, so you were exposed to it. But
Yeah. We had, mother was entertaining Joffrey Bean and all different great Bill Blass, with big parties all the time.
But what's interesting is that at the time when you were a young woman, I mean, this was really divided by gender, right? So we can talk about some of these works on the screen here, two of which are in your wonderful show here at the Nerman Museum. Much of your early work deals with performing gender roles and the limitations felt by women, especially your work from the late 70s and early 80s. So at left here we have Apron, which is from your shirt series, and that body of work depicts various garments that come to represent the social expectations experienced by the men and women who wear them. We've talked about this. And the middle work here on the screen is titled Bullet Belt, which is part of your Taking Aim series. And that body of work transforms weaponry, in this case bullets, into lipsticks. And it's about drawing out the different ways I think men and women access power. And then on the right, we have The Good Wife, which is part of your Building People works, which we'll discuss later in this talk. But as the title suggests, it explores the often restrictive experience of women sort of playing these traditional domestic roles. So can you talk about how your background contributed to your decision to pursue art making? Because you've said at the time you knew you wanted to be an artist, but what did you think art provided for you, or what was being an artist? What sort of freedom would that give you, given your sort of upbringing?
It was really a big deal for me that I kind of thought money was the root of all evil, and I wanted to do something else because it wasn't. Money's just a tool, but it's what I thought. Come on, give me a break. I was 17 or something. You know, it took me a long time to figure that out because I don't know. It was kind of, I was helping help in the kitchen, cook, and they were really my parents. You know, the people that lived with us and stuff. So anyhow, it's kind of interesting. And
well, what was exciting about being an artist? What sort of, yeah,
I think it's because you can reveal yourself and to relate to other people. Isn't that what you want in life? To be able to, you know, interact and speak with people. And maybe you have something to say, and I probably couldn't say it verbally as well as I think I could imagine it visually.
right.
And then when I discovered ceramics, it's all manual labor, perfect for me, you know, because I'm real kind of hyper and I want to do everything.
Yeah. This sort of leads into our next question. So in 1966, despite wanting to enroll at the Kansas City Art Institute, you ended up attending your parents' first choice of college, which was the Centenary Junior College for Women in Hackettstown, New Jersey. So this was meant to guide you to a very traditional path, right? But its proximity to New York City actually opened up a totally new avenue of exploration for you. So you were going into New York regularly at the height of the American pop art movement.
Yeah.
So this question is sort of about influences. What was important about your time in New York? Let's start with that. And what shows were you seeing? What were you experiencing in New York in '66?
I didn't even apply to that school. I guess my parents applied for me. And I went to the Art Institute with my father and had an interview with the president. Did you? And he said, honey, don't you have a boyfriend? And I was like, yeah. And he goes, well, you're never going to do art. And they, you know, I was supposed to behave and marry a nice Jewish man. So then I go to New York, but it was just 45 minutes from New York City, and I would go visit that Castelli Gallery and Sydney Janus Gallery, and I saw maybe one of Ellsworth Kelly's first shows. It was so good. I mean, the use of color and the saturation and the lack of brushwork, and it really knocked me out. And I think I saw this show the first time he showed it, Warhol's pieces. And then, of course, I saw Lichtenstein, Rauschenberg. I'm sorry, I can't say more women. There must have Judith Chicago, but I think that was a little later.
Well, and then actually, so I have a Patty Warashina on the right here. So after you came back to Kansas City for a brief period, but then ended up on the West Coast, up in Washington State and Seattle, and you studied at the Factory for Visual Arts between '71 and '75. And during that time, there happened to be this flourishing ceramics community there. And you studied with Patty Warashina and David Furman. How was their approach to ceramics influential for your work, and how do you see these dual influences coming through?
Yeah, the funk art movement was really underway. Arneson was the leader of the band, I guess, and he came. I met him a lot of times.
What is that?
God, he was another sexist pig, but but anyhow, he was amusing, and I adore it, whatever he was. But funk art was so fun. It's so humorous. It has the literal kind of interpretations, but it's more fun. You can tackle problems by using humor to get into what you're interested in. This is more superficial, I think pop art is. It's reflective of society a little bit, and it's more, let's see, Rose gave me the right words to use. It's more cerebral and more appropriation. So, and funk art is just more fun and dealing with stuff, and that sounds fun, doesn't it? It's more fun.
Well, I love how your work blends the two. I mean, you really do see both influences
does.
coming out. All right, well, let's go on. So in the first room of the exhibition, we have several works from early series, such as the anthropomorphic teapots, and here I've put up some examples of works that are not in the show, the 3 sculptures on the right, but I thought it's nice to see them. or objects of daily life in your Americana series. And all of these bodies of work explore social expectations and public perceptions.
Dressing.
So I guess that this social preoccupation was really the main focus of your early work. So what was that about? I mean, at the time you were a young mother, you had traveled a lot, you were sort of estranged from your family. I'm curious how much of these works about social expectations came from your own sort of dealing with what was expected of you personally, or was it about other people? Can you talk us through some of these?
It's interesting to think about. Of course, this is probably Alfred, my father, but I did all different kinds of athletes and basketball players, and I didn't know it till I did this show. But every one of those teapots, and then the next bunch of things we're going to see is some of the building people that are left. And they're all men. Yeah, I'm an angry young woman, I guess, you know. God. Yeah, it was really a surprise. But so, yeah, that was fun. Let's go to building people. I think that's next. These are more lighthearted and everything.
Yes. So these are 4 examples of Linda's sculptures from her Building People series. Actually, none of these are in our show, so these are examples of other works, but we have 4 fabulous ones downstairs. So were these based on specific people? I think you've said this is your father.
Yeah, that's Alfred, and everybody who knew Alfred knew that was him. Yeah.
They're so relatable, though, and there's this universality to them.
And that's me.
Yeah, okay.
Uh-huh. Yeah, that's me trying to hang myself at 5 years old. The cord broke. You know how that goes. And I don't know who that general is. And when we're talking about, so they're real and imagined people. So cities are kind of defined by their architecture, you know. But people are defined by their demeanor, their personality, their habits. These can be confining, you know, a kind of entrapment. So manners, self-control, and appearances maybe don't reveal the inner person. So in spite of this, the show must go on. So we're taught to contain ourselves and, above all, make the world predictable. No surprises. We talk about spontaneity, but we crave conformity. So this is about breaking down the habits and mores of society, so you don't become institutionalized, right? So if you can get bricked in to the death throes of our culture by the trappings and strappings of society. It's neat, it's tidy, it's a tidy, you know, but is it worth it? So our homes and apartments can be a place of refuge, a prison, your urban armaments, or a refuge.
Which you
choose.
Experience. This leads us into these works, the diva sculptures. And so I have 2 examples on the outside here, and then another building person in the middle. And so in our exhibition, we show them together, the building people and the divas, kind of not in dialogue, but we sort of thought through how we've spoken a lot about how they represent perhaps 2 different ways of kind of getting at, well, they're opposites in many ways. The divas are about freedom of expression and joyfulness and sort of sexuality and power, and they're based on women.
Fabulous girls, yes. Yes. Right.
How do you see these in comparison with the building people? Can you talk us through who these are based on?
I think I wanted to quit complaining about men, maybe. I didn't think about it. As I look at this, maybe. And so this was about celebrating the life force and the dangerous beauty of the life force, entailing seduction, sexual prowess, and moaning hormones. These they're 2-stepping towards figuration, beckoning seductively, singing the high notes. Oh my God, is this Baroque a go-go? I wish my work to smell of the seaweed and have colors as soft and slippery as a satin quilt. Taste the effervescent tingle of pink. So, these are opera singers, and I was really, you know, I worry about the color I'm going to give these things, and I've got a little synesthesia, so I can feel and kind of taste, and I can get into that color. I worry about them, and those drawings are downstairs trying to decide what kind of colors I'm going to use on the things. You know, there's languid pulsing of purple and the soft satin silk plushness of a silk blanket when you're thinking of pink, you know. So I think you can talk about identity, sexuality, and power through these kinds of forms. So some of the divas are important people I know, like Myra Morgan, Sybil Khan, and yeah, just powerful women that have been in my life, and some of them I just made up. Mm-hmm.
Well, all right, so this next question is about your process, because I think it's worth explaining, taking a moment to explain how you make your sculpture. So these are images from Linda in her studio in Idaho in the late 70s. But, you know, the medium of ceramics, it's sort of mysterious in terms of how clay sort of transforms into these beautiful sculptures. So could you speak a little bit about how you make the works? Did you start as a sculptor? What is
No,
the
I was a
process?
painter. But you know, if you're a painter, you're just going from your brain to a white piece of paper. It's really an intellectual endeavor. But if you're working with clay, you're just out there in the dirt. And plus, you get all these tools to play with, and you run around and do this and that and the other, and I'm kind of hyper. So that really works for me. I never quit. I just think clay is so much fun, you know.
Well, you love making things. I mean, even you made your own house. I mean, you built.
Oh yeah, well,
I mean,
yeah, that's fun. Yeah, we've built a.
you like to build.
We've done a few houses, yes, and that was really fun. So,
But maybe, or here, if we go to the next slide, like, could you talk us through just kind of briefly, how would you make this work, the sea snail, let's
so
say?
first you have to make a decision about what kind of clay body you're using and what temperature it can be fired at. So on those divas, they're probably like that, My Desire up there, it's a little bit bigger. Once you get that big and you're putting that many additions on, you can't use porcelain, you have to use a low fire body because the porcelain shrinks 20% and it pulls away from all those joins.
Okay.
So it has to do that. It's still pretty strong.
And then you paint the work.
So I
after
sit around
glaze.
and work on the work. I throw those balls inside, you know, those seed pods, and then I just throw that. If I need something round, it's on the wheel. Like that's on the wheel, those two pieces. And then I can pull, like those stamens are just little pieces of pulled things. And then the stem, I use a certain kind of nylon fiber that I wedge into the clay. So it makes it more like fabric and it can have folds without breaking and move around really good. And I stand on a stool like this because I can pull out like a 5-foot handle, you know, and then I drape it over a kiln shelf. So that's how I get those stems.
Yeah, those are so
Yeah,
beautifully crafted.
yeah.
That's amazing. Well, maybe just now going into your ongoing interest in nature, that sort of runs throughout your career, but we see that most...
I'll finish telling you about the firing.
Okay, go ahead.
So then I do that bisque, and then we do a glaze. That's probably a brown glaze and a red glaze. Oops, I can't have either of them touching or dripping on each other. Sometimes I have to tape off some areas. Oh, they can't have that yellow and white. That's a whole different glaze. I probably could have done the brown petals and the yellow part on the same piece, but I don't think I could do that red. That's that maroon, that's the seed pod color. So that would be another firing. This is second firing, a little higher. And then, okay, let's go ahead and do the red. I might have to tape off or make it so that glaze doesn't touch. And then the stem is probably just a clear glaze. It's just clear white. And so that was a firing. And then when that's done, then I start thinking about China painting. So this piece is all China painted. So it was a clay piece that I bisqued. I built that whole thing, and then I fired it all with a clear white glaze, and then I started building up China paint. And you can make it like layers, so it's like layered on like watercolor or something, or oil. Which you can't usually do with ceramics that much, and I really like that. So it looks like I sprayed that purple on. So the China paints are pigments, and I mix them with this turpentine oil that I make myself. And Then you fire it on. Some of those glazes you can't put in the kiln together, the reds and the greens, no. You can do them in separate firings. And then if you're using a luster, which is often made with gold, and it's about $40-50 for grams, for a couple of grams. It's really expensive. So, yeah, and then so about 8 firings is the max.
And then a question about your drawings. We feature some drawings downstairs in the show if you haven't been down yet. Do you work out sort of the form for your sculptures in sketches and drawings, or do you sort of think
some I do.
Or color? I know we've talked about color being, you work through
Yeah,
a lot of
those
ideas.
sketches are to figure out a color pattern. Yeah, I do some of both, yeah.
Do you sketch from life, or is it
Life.
flowers?
Yeah, I look at a lot of plants and stuff. Yeah. I'm interested. I lived on the res. We did a lot of stuff with plants, and the Indian ladies would come up in their regular costumes with these bags on their belts and collect, I don't know, plantain, any kind of, they knew what the 8 and 10-year-olds couldn't read. They never saw a book, but they knew every plant, and if it was medicine or edible, it's interesting.
Well, actually, that takes us to Ode to the Tallgrass Prairie, which is at the airport. What is it, the terminal?
Gate A10.
Gate A10. You can see it.
I only have one terminal.
But it's extraordinary because it has this, it has so many local flora and fauna depicted. And you have a QR code, actually, that I'll let you tell sort of what it is.
So, yeah, I really researched all this stuff, and really I have stories about every single thing on there, how to cook cicadas, and which you need to know, how to deal with poison ivy, it's in there, and how to, what you can do with chicory and all that. So there's recipes and funny stories about every part, and it's just on the QR code in there if you're at the airport and you have a few minutes.
How did that commission come about? Because it's a big
piece.
piece.
It was a 1% for the Arts Commission, and they broke away. They always I felt when we made the percent for the arts, because I worked on it, that we could stand up against any artist in the country. Hello. We're good enough just because we're in Kansas or Missouri. It was Missouri, actually. But we finally got it passed. They were using it was passed, and it was 35 years old. And when did it go in 1980? Around then. And the architects were using it to make plants and lighting and saying that was art. And so, yeah, a bunch of these women, Myra Morgan, Sybil Kahn, me, and went to war. And we finally got it done. So, but they had never, for every gate they hired a local artist, and they were always bitching that they never had local artists, which they do sometimes. And I thought, we're good enough, we can stand up.
Absolutely. Well, you started off making more socially driven works and dealing with social issues, but I guess how do you see these more natural forms relate to your more politically motivated pieces? We'll talk about Taking Aim shortly. Some of the gunflowers are in that room. I mean, you sort of blend it too.
Oh, you're distorting the idea of desire into something evil.
It could be.
Something with a penis, like a gun, or a gas pump. Or do you want me to keep going?
No. Let's go into it. Let's get into it. Let's dig in. So the last room in the exhibition centers on gun violence, featuring works from almost every decade of your career. And at times, these are cast from actual semi-automatic weapons, such as the large format Arch, which sort of frames the back wall of the show. It's titled, I Don't Want a Bullet to Kiss Your Heart. And so, Linda, was there a precipitating event that inspired this body of work, or was it just an accumulation of exposure to gun violence in America?
Well, this says 86. I think that's right. I was just looking at everything around me, and everything at the store, and every single thing looked like a penis, and I decided it was all made by men. Lipsticks, deodorant. Remember roll-on deodorants, folks? Even a gas pump, even a gun, even Clorox bottle, even a Windex bottle. And so I was like, how do you bag your man? But that was pretty benign compared to what kept going. When I was in Lithuania, I got to go work with that Heron Porcelain at a residency there. And it was still very, very Soviet. And of course, if you were a painter or a sculptor, you could not make any political commentary unless it was sanctioned by the state, right? But some of the really great artists that were painters, architects, so they all went to the crafts medium. It's really interesting. So no architect was allowed to practice unless you were Russian. Anyhow, so a lot of them came, but I thought we just started the war in Iraq, so I thought I'd make some political commentary for them to feel free, but now they've got Erdogan. I don't know about that.
And what about Thoughts and Prayers, the work on the right?
Oh, and that is one of the later pieces that I worked on. And I mean, I have done so much signing petitions. Even at every show, I have petitions and send them off myself and have people, against gun violence. And what can you do? I've talked to my congressman. I've researched everything. Do you know that if you have a gun in your home, you're 10 times more likely to have an accident? When I started doing this in 2010, there was 350 million guns in this country, 100 million more guns than people, and now it's worse. It's just so, what do you need to do to drive a car? You have to take a class, pass a test. What do you need to get a gun? Not much. So 10% of our gross national product is selling arms for oil to the Middle East. It just is abominable.
But it also, gun violence affected you personally.
Yeah,
There's two major incidents, right? Would you want to speak about that?
Well, I've had more than two. I'll just talk about one. My husband, it was 2010, and my husband Lynn was coming to the studio, which is in Midtown, and he's at Gillum and Linwood, and he's at the front. It's 8 o'clock Monday morning. He's right in the front row of the cars, and there's stoplights are on, and he stopped, and there's 3 guys on each side of the street shooting at each other, and 2 guys got shot dead. And I'm like, he could have been shot. He was right there in the line of fire. So, was it in the paper? No. What? I was really shocked. They don't even report him. And at that year, I believe there was 365 murders in Kansas City. We are the 5th most dangerous city in the country and the 5th most dangerous state. And St. Louis is number 4, and Springfield is number 12. And
staggering.
Yeah, it's really shocking. And now you can get automatic weapons. That's true,
What is it like working, like casting from actual weapons?
What is it like casting from actual weapons?
It's
like casting.
Let's
These are all cast too because they're porcelain, and I want to get that translucent quality, which you can only get with really thin porcelain. And when you fire it pretty high, it starts like goobing all over the place. So
just to kind of get our audience on board here. So this is a luminous. This is a chandelier it's a light chandelier, and it's at the Museum of Kansas City here. And Linda, you made a large format installation kind of using similar lights but much bigger scale for our show.
Yeah.
And it sort of feels like you're underwater. It's very otherworldly. What was the maybe differences between these two pieces? So going from a chandelier to this site-specific installation.
I've been doing a bunch of I made a whole bunch for this show at Rockhurst. And then I sold a bunch and made them into chandeliers. And then they hired me to do that chandelier. That was fun, really fun.
But for, let's say, the piece here, the installation, so you move through it, the lights are hanging above you, they're sort of twinkling. We decided to position this installation at the end of the show as sort of a closing statement. So what would you like, I guess, audiences to experience?
So I've talked all this stuff about desire. Desire is from the earth. It smells, it's sex, it's all this stuff. It's hard to get that clay up in the air like on those divas, because clay just wants to be flat on the ground, right? But then I had a really close friend that died, and oh, you don't have any desire anymore. It's such a surprise, and your energy is still there, but there's no color in it. It's crazy. So I wanted to transition from growth and change and celebrate the spirit of life is what I've been doing. So, but luminosity then is light from within. It's the perfect antidote to this environment that we're in still today, with the recession and war and so much going on. So it's the opportunity to explore the light within each of us. So I'm imagining this light, it's without aggression, and it emanates a quiet goodness, I hope. It's not hot, but the last moment before death, right? Or extinguishing yourself. I think it's something, the whole world is getting older now, and it's something that we have to confront, and Americans aren't very good at it. And so how would you deal with it? It's no smell, no color, no weight. So these are kind of fuchsia flowers. They're limpid and they're hanging down, ready to be gone, kiss the earth. And so that's what I did.
Yeah, it's a beautiful way to close the show. I think it's perfect after the Taking Aim series. And then can you tell us briefly about the music that was chosen for that?
Oh, yeah. So I do have music for two. I don't know if I have two up in this show, but Paul Rudy from UMKC is, I think I used Tchaikovsky and a few classical musics were what I was thinking of. I just kind of piled them up, and then Paul Rudy, I talked to him about it, and he is a really ingenious guy, and so he didn't film them, he mic'd them, water going down a creek and all kinds of different winds and different kinds of things that would be about luminous.
Yeah, it's quite transformative.
Yeah, I hope so.
Okay, so I think we're all set here. Before going to audience questions, we have some people to thank, don't we?
Oh, I do. I want to thank all you helpers who are so great. I know they thanked you already. Thank you, thank you. Thank you, Andrew. Thank you, Ross Redman, who's my assistant. I couldn't have done this without him. Thank you, E.G., for getting all these pictures really well in the thing. It's so great. Thank you, E.G. And I have to, double thanks to Rose, and she knows how to do this. She's a cataloger and knows these things. And thank you to Sydney.
Thank you, Linda.
Yay, Joanne. And yay, staff. You were all so great. And it's been fun. It's been fun.
Well, thank you, Linda, for your beautiful work, for 50 years of making art. We're so happy, and it's been such an honor to work on this show. So, are there any, Catherine?
So I will not be able to run around the room because it's a little too crowded. So if you raise your hand and Sydney calls on you, shout your question, and then I will repeat it for our online audience and for the people who are looking in the overflow room. Okay, so bear with us. You're gonna ask your question. I'll repeat it, and then Linda will answer. Okay. So anybody, first question?
Yeah? Did you have a question?
Sure, yeah. I was wondering in your, sure.
Might as well.
In your divas, there's several of them that have sort of like chicken-like features, chicken motifs, and I was wondering where that came from, because I love it very much.
Well, that's your interpretation.
I'm a chicken, isn't it?
Oh yeah, that's right. They are bouncing around like a chicken, yeah, aren't they? Yeah. They're hopping around, yeah. Thanks for the question. Yeah.
We have a question.
Was that an answer? I don't know.
We have one over here.
I think anybody who knows where Linda and Lynn live has seen the sculptures in her yard. That look, these gigantic figures that look like they're emerging from the earth. And I know that's from a pretty early point, or earlier than I knew you, in your career. And I just wondered if you could talk a little bit about those and where they came from and what they were about.
So I think that, I went back to school at the Art Institute, and their idea was I shouldn't do anything I'd already done before, which is this kind of work, clay, china paint. And so I started doing figures, which I'd never I had done figures, but they're not the same way. And so I did a bunch of great big things, and I played like I wouldn't touch it except for with a board and with a knife. And so I talked about my father and cut him up. So I did make this one big arch that went down. I didn't have a good stabilization, but there's a few maquettes around. I know Carol Hudson has one, and Courtney has one that is called, but half the job of finding peace is finding understanding. So that catenary arch all leans on itself, so it's like the flowers have to come together to make a whole, the people, and you have to have that interaction or a connection for things to hold together, right? Yeah, and the sculpture did hold together. It was only the footing that didn't hold together. So 35 years, and then it went down. When you make something with ceramics, so those sculptures in the yard are twice as hard as your house bricks. You can think, we know everything about art history from looking at ceramics because it doesn't go anywhere. It can break, but it's still there. So yeah, it's an important medium. Did I do that okay, Sue? Okay. Okay, party on. Yes.
Yeah, Linda, can you talk a little bit about your thoughts around sexuality and art?
Yeah,
So,
I'd love to.
Just a second. I'll repeat it. I'll repeat it real quick. So Linda's going to talk about sexuality and art.
Okay, wait a minute. I have the quote that I didn't read, but I will read you the best quote in the world, okay? And it's from Dr. Tatiana's Sex for All Creation. All I have to do is find it in here. It must be in here. It's not here. Oh, God. Maybe it's when you asked me about flowers. This is boring. I'm sorry. If not for sex, much of what is flamboyant and beautiful in life would not exist. Plants would not bloom, birds would not sing, deer would not sprout antlers. For a flowering plant, sex is trusting to the wind or an insect to carry pollen to a receptive female flower. And so that's what we're all showing off for. That's what lipstick's for, and I just, that's what I think. It's not just about, it's about longing and desire, which is an action verb, right? And it's what keeps the whole world going, doesn't it, is desire. There is a dark side with you talk about, we should trade men for women, right? All right, do you know what I mean? That whole masculinity thing, I guess women are more circular thinkers and men are maybe more linear or vertical, I don't mean that, you guys. I mean, they're stacked up, they're grading you up and down where women are coming together circularly. So, excuse me.
There's a question in the middle here.
Hey, Jeffrey. Okay.
I'm curious if seeing all of your work together in one place like this has given new meanings to maybe some of your earlier pieces. I'm specifically thinking about like your divas with your building people. It's almost like they might be talking to one another, and if anything has changed for you looking at them now.
So sorry, I'll repeat briefly. So seeing all the works together, has it given you a new view of some of these earlier works and all your works like in dialogue?
Well, I think those girls are just high-stepping and asking for people to look at them, because, hey, it's choose me, So I think that's, they're acting for recognition, aren't they? And they are talking together. Yeah, we tried to put them in groupings because I do think they're discussing things, or they're trying to outdo one another.
And also, maybe could you talk a little bit about your Supreme Justice works? Because you returned to earlier themes there in the Taking Aim room. Linda has this. We have one work.
That's about the new. It's one of the newest works on that. I had to give up doing this gun thing after 13 years and COVID started. How much misery can you take?
But it's returning to.
So then what happens? They outlaw abortion. Oh, women don't have any control over their bodies. You can have a gun, but you can't have your own body. It's just outrageous. I was just beside myself. Oh, thank you. It's not just me. Go vote, yeah. But so I did this uterus, which I can only find in a science book. I don't know, but the eggs on the uterus look surprisingly like hand grenades. Oh, but I've put every single gun piece on Facebook. Nothing. And I put that Supreme Justice on. It has a uterus and a gun coming out of it, because guns have more power than uteruses. And I got axed off of Facebook immediately in 20 seconds for a uterus, folks. It's shocking. I had to get Troy Porter to help me come back on, and Ryan.
But Lynn.
Shout it?
Okay.
One of my favorite things about you, because I know you personally, as an artist, is, oh crap, now everybody's listening to me. Right? We do the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, so what am I trying to say?
Ryan was the inspiration for this retrospective.
Hold on, it'll come back. Oh my God, this is like censorship.
Oh yeah. Okay.
She's got me.
Yeah.
Censorship. So speaking on censorship, you had told me a couple years ago that.
I'll just let you talk.
You had told me a couple years ago, because I was struggling finding gallery space in Kansas City, doing work that was like, whatever, subversive, whatever it is. It's not, patty cake. And so you and I shared that similarity, and that's what drew me to you. And you shared with me that you had a hard time finding wall space for Taking Aim and gun work. And I would like to hear you talk about censorship and how that has worked in your career.
I did have one museum show at Keene University. Is that a museum? It's at a Human Rights Institute. Every other big institution, except for this one, was like, we won't touch this. And I had one of the curators for this show came from California and said, we can't touch this. And I'm like, really? So my idea is, if you can find something, a little bit of humor, it's a way to get in. I'm not trying to stuff anything down someone's throat or belittle somebody. I'm trying to start a conversation, because this is a serious problem. And it's absolutely ridiculous that we would have this kind of gun violence in this country, and it's such an everyday. We thought Gabby Gifford was a big thing, but now it's, once every couple of weeks is a gun violence in a school. And at this school, they have no guns coming into the school, right? It's crazy. But I've done what I can. I've written them. The shows I've had at Sherry Leedy, and whatever show I have petitions for the people that come to sign, and I send them off, and I do what I can. But it's never seems like enough. You guys come along and help me on the ride, man.
Question back here.
Thank you for working so hard. My question to you is, if you could see your work anywhere in the world, at any point, well lit and well seen, where would it be?
Whoa. Everybody'd choose the same places, wouldn't they? Oh, I don't know. I guess the Met, the Louvre. I don't know. The one in Russia. Yeah, we want to be there. They've all got the same problems. Yeah, you know what I mean?
How about the lawn of the White House?
Oh, my. What would you think, Sydney?
Well, I was just going to follow up with that question. What piece would you want?
Oh, don't ask me that.
Okay.
Oh, the piece that I want is the piece that I haven't yet made yet, but I'll get ready for that, okay?
That's beautiful.
It's always looking forward to the next thing.
All right,
yeah.
well, with that, I think that's a perfect time. So we want to invite you all. Thank you so much for coming. And Linda, thank you.
Yeah, thank you.